It's in the beat, that quiet rhythm under it all, the pulse of a nation. From the founding words etched on paper, to the voices on the airwaves, from the marches in the streets, to the silence before a decision is made. This is where we listen. This is where we feel. This is where we understand. This is National Pulse. Not just the news, the signal, the heartbeat of the nation.
Imagine having access to the latest news at your fingertips. Introducing the newly rebranded and improved Daily Nation website. With our innovative online flipping page feature, you can read the newspaper just like you would in print. Plus, with our subscription-based model, you will get access to exclusive content, archives, and more. So why wait? Sign up now and experience the future of news. Daily Nation, now at your fingertips.
Our esteemed viewers, and thank you for joining us yet again on the National Economic Indaba Show. As usual, my name is Nakiwe Simpungwe and I'm your host. This evening we have a very, very exciting guest for you. His name is Mr. Gabriel Hachipuka Mumba. Now, Mr. Mumba is Vice President for the European Union Zambia Business Club, and he is as well the CEO at Eastlight Zambia Limited. But these are just two of the many, portfolios that he actually holds. And we'll be getting into that in a little bit. To those that are just joining us on the National Economic Indaba Show page on Facebook, and those that are joining us on Millennium TV Facebook page, you are very welcome. And those that are joining us via Topstar on Channel 95. Thank you so much for making time to join us. Now, Mr. Mumba, you are welcome to the National Economic Indaba Show.
Thank you so much. Good evening, viewers.
Yeah. So, as I said earlier, I just mentioned two of, your portfolios. Are you able to just give us maybe two more? Because when I looked at the long list, I said, oh my goodness. Yeah.
Well, just like you've mentioned my names, I'm a former Assistant Country Manager for International Air Transport Association, and eventually I became the Country Manager for Zimbabwe for 2 years. Then after 2 years, I hung up my gloves, and because my passion has always to do business. So that's how I founded Eastlight Logistics. So basically, Eastlight Logistics started just as a small company that used to deliver door-to-door bills for hotels, bills for institutions like Zika, Zambians of bankers. And over the years, we've grown to national delivery, and now we are an international company. We actually, according to our regulators, because all courier companies are regulated by ZICTA. Okay. So according to ZICTA, currently Eastlight Zambia Limited is the largest cargo mover from India into Zambia.
Wow.
We move 90% of the cargo from India into Zambia, beating all the usual names that people know in Korea. So this year we are clocking 19 years in business. Yes, so basically that's all about me. Apart from that, I sit on a number of boards, of course, in Zambia, in the UK, in Sweden, and South Africa. And I'm a corporate governance practitioner, so I enjoy corporate governance. Absolutely.
Great stuff, and this is why we are having you on the National Economic Indaba Show, because of your, wealth of experience in business. Because today we are going to look at the role of MSMEs, in economic growth. And as you have mentioned, you've actually given us a little bit of where you started from. You started at the very bottom, and you grew your company. It's 19 years now in business. Now, from your experience, could you tell us, how do MSMEs contribute to economic growth in this country?
Well, right. I think first of all, we need to define what SMEs.
Absolutely.
We have got micro, small, and medium, and of course large institutions. So a micro institute is an organization or a small company that employs between 1 and 10. Okay. Then a small company, it employs between 1 and 50. Then a medium employs between 50 and 250. An organization that employs above 250, that's a large organization. So you have to look at this context. Now, SMEs, as we call them, these are very vital in the growth of every economy. If you look at the statistics, I'll give you, for instance, in the US constitutes about 99% SMEs, and they contribute about 43% GDP to the US economy. So now you find that SMEs are vital in growth of each country. If you look at China currently, it is because of SMEs. China built its economy on SMEs. If you go to China, for instance, if you go to Guangzhou, you go around, you find that every corner there are all these SMEs. Okay? I've been privileged to travel to about 52, 53 countries around the world, and that's one thing that I've noticed wherever I travel, to notice that SMEs are the ones that are driving most of these economies. These large institutions, yes, they are there, but you discover that the SMEs, they're in all sector. You find them in the food industry, you find them in the travel industry, you find them in manufacturing, you find them in processing, in agriculture, in transport. The SMEs are there. So that's why you see that they actually, if well supported, they can contribute to the growth of any country, especially Zambia. In Zambia right now, that's what we need.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, you've just mentioned how significantly SMEs, contribute to the GDP of the economy. Could this also translate into poverty reduction? Would you say that SMEs contribute, largely to poverty reduction, especially in a country like Zambia?
Absolutely. Now, just like what I've said, I read somewhere where the SME minister, that's Honorable Mubanga, where he had mentioned that in Zambia, the SMEs account for up to, if I'm not mistaken, he must have mentioned a figure 97%.
Yes, actually, yes.
And then he said they contribute about 70% to GDP. So what does he mean by that? He means that most of the people who employ SMEs, they pay taxes. So if SMEs pay taxes and if SMEs contribute about 70% of the GDP, they play a very vital role in poverty reduction. Now, just imagine in a situation where you would remove the SMEs, okay, and just make them disappear or close them down. That would be a tantamount to damaging the country economy, because these are 90%. Now, one thing that also has to be taken note is that if you look at certain countries where the SMEs have raised the country's economy, it's because of the way they're supported. Okay? These reduce the amount of poverty in the country. So what we need, because one of the things that is really close to my heart is private sector. That's why even PPDF, when the president formed PPDF, I was appointed by Cabinet Office to sit on one of the committees. And as we go through the programs, I'll explain why and how the SMEs can be supported to grow as we go through the program. But yes, they play a very important role in terms of poverty reduction. We need SMEs, just like the way these other countries have grown through SMEs. Yeah.
Now, as you rightly put it, statistically, the SMEs, contribute 97%, account for 97%, of the economy. What are their major challenges? Because when you look at a country like Zambia, you find that the economy is not doing so well, and if most of the economy is in the hands of the SMEs, what would then be the challenges that they are facing that are preventing the MSMEs from, achieving the targets that they are supposed to achieve for us as Zambia to see an improvement in the economy?
So, if I look at your question, you are actually talking about barriers to growth to the SMEs.
Right.
In a country like Zambia, that is a third world country, the SMEs face numerous challenges. Now, I'll take you back to PPDF. This is the very reason why PPDF was formed, to look at the challenges that the SMEs faced. Number one, we have to also flip the coin. Why they face those challenges, right? Now, one of the main, the first thing or the biggest challenge that SMEs face to growth is lack of capital. That's number one. I've been in business for 20 years. You can never grow without capital. You can have ideas, right? This is what I want to do. This is brilliant ideas. You go to the bank. The bank will look at your ideas. They say, yes, this is good. We can give you the money. But what do you bring on the table in terms of collateral? How many SMEs have got collateral? Nothing. So that is their biggest challenge. That's why you find that the SMEs, their growth is stagnant. They don't grow because they lack capital. Now, even if they access capital, when I look at the interest rates in this country, when you borrow from the commercial banks as an SME, you are actually depriving yourself of growth. You'll be working all your life repaying back what you borrowed because the interest rates are extremely high. So, because of this, the SMEs are deprived growth. Then you move to bureaucracy. What do I mean by that? In terms of, I'll give an example of the industry that I operate from. By the way, I'm the president of the Post and Courier Association. Yes, so all the courier companies, all the postals, they are under my watch. Now, if you look at the industry where I belong, this is the courier industry. It's got a lot of SMEs. You see these bikes driving around. I'll tell you that when you go to Ratsa, you check the records, there are over 35,000 bikes registered. Yes, that's quite a huge number. Now, you find that those that are regulated, those that belong to association and then they're regulated, they are less than 100. The rest are illegal. Wow. Why? One, the high license fees. Okay? Our industry is put into three categories. The first license are for these guys who just move around, okay? They used to be, okay, let me just put it, before they were reduced after we intervened, they used to be 10,000 for you to get a license just to run around to deliver from point A to point B within Lusaka. Then if you are delivering outside Lusaka, it was about 15,000. Wow. Now, for us that do international, you won't even believe it, it's 40,000 for you to get this license. Now, this is a barrier. This is a huge challenge. So, most of these SMEs, when you tell them you regulate yourself, they say, Mr. Mumba, where will I get a 10,000? For me, just for a license. I haven't made that in 6 months. So where will I get this? So this is a major challenge. I did appeal to Honorable Mtati, where we fall under, to say, Minister, I think let's reduce further. So when I intervened through PPDF, they were reduced from 10 to 5, from 15 to 10. But even it's still the 5 for these guys that is only got one bike, and they call them not delivery, but they call them, what name do they call them? Whatever name they call them. These guys who just deliver cakes, they deliver around. So that's a major challenge. The license and the lack of capital. So if these can be looked around and then they can be sorted out, I can tell you that the SMEs can grow. Be it manufacture, be it. Now, remember, this is just a license. You've still got ZRA, you've still got PARCRA to pay, you've still got NAPSA to pay, because all these have to pay. Now there is NEMA that has to be added to be paid. So all these, you lump them up at the SMEs. So their growth is actually deprived.
You have just addressed, the serious bottlenecks that, hamper, SME growth, like finance, access to finance or lack thereof, and regulatory frameworks. What support mechanisms then can government put in place, to foster, the growth of the SME sector?
I'm one person who's been advocating for private sector growth, and one of the things that I believe can actually help the SMEs to grow. If we look at the lack of finance, for me, I would suggest that the government, first of all, what they should do is, all these SMEs have to be regulated. They have a database. They should know what each and every one of them is doing. So when they have a database, then the government should come up with what is known as SME Bank. In Kaunda days, we used to have a Lima Bank. This was specifically for farmers to get loans, and the interest rate was affordable. So if the government can come up with a bank that is going to help to grow the SMEs, trust me, with a very good interest rate, and I mean good interest rates, even as low as 3%, 2%, this has to be funded by the government. So it's a way of subsidizing the SMEs to grow. When these guys grow, trust me, this economy will shoot. Okay? Yes, we have CEEC. Okay? Now, I sit on the board for Institute of Directors, and I chair a committee on policy and research. So right now, we're doing a research with the CEEC. Now, I'm trying to flip the coin. CEEC, to say, look, the repayment of loans to EEC by SMEs is actually bad. What is the cause? There are those that access loans from CEEC, but the repayment culture is bad. So one of the things that, when we did our research with my team, we discovered that actually it's lack of corporate governance. So what we are trying to do is, before the SMEs can be given loans, train them in corporate governance, so that they adhere to the corporate governance practices. And when you do that, you know that you are responsible to pay back what you borrowed. Okay? There's a story that I always tell people that one time I was in school in the UK, and then I met I got a call from back home, and then I was speaking Nyanja, you know. And then there was a guy next to me on a train and said, are you from Zambia? I said, yes. I said, oh, I'm from Nigeria. I once lived in Zambia. So what he said was, you know what? You Zambians are quite intelligent. You can go to the bank with a proper business proposal, and the bank gives you money, but you've got one problem. The moment you've received that money, before you implement your ideas, the first thing you do is you get yourself a BMW, you get yourself a second wife, you know, you take your family to Dubai. By the time you come back, the money is gone. Okay? And this is serious. And this is exactly what is going on, you know. And I've heard the president saying, don't buy a BMW or buy a tractor or something. This is the major, now I've flipped the coin. If SMEs can be trained to say, look, this is not your money. This money is for the bank. This money only becomes yours when you've paid off the bank. Okay? So this is the major challenge. Everyone wants to drive a nice car. Everyone wants to go to Dubai. They want to run before they can walk. So I've always, wherever I'm invited to speak to SMEs, this is the challenge I throw to them. Say, look, for us to be here where we are, we sacrificed. We told ourselves to say, this is what I want. You know, some of us, when we are starting, we go for 3-4 months, you don't pay yourself. But as long as you pay your workers, you're saying, no, I know what I want 10 years from now. But the SMEs of nowadays, the moment they're given a contract, they are given 25% to start. That 25% to buy the material, somebody's in South Africa. Something which is not even connected to the business. So, for me, the SMEs also have to play a role. The government can assist through CEEC, through CDF. By the way, the banks, I think one of them is Zanaco, that they receive funding from EU for SMEs. They pump through the banks. So all those are ways of how the government is trying to assist the SMEs. But for me, number one is to set up a bank just for SMEs.
Interesting indeed, you know, and I think we need to discuss this a little bit further, because we had the DG for, CEC on the program, a few weeks back. And what you've said is exactly what he said. You know, the culture of paying back is very bad. They borrow, but then to pay back, they feel that, in fact, he said they treat it as a grant or something. They don't consider it as a loan, so just to pay it back. And as you rightly said, the president also mentioned, that there's an issue with people paying back. But then where is the problem coming from? Is it a mindset problem, and how can it be addressed? Because, it seems to be a very far and wide problem whereby people borrow and they just don't see the need to pay back. Where is it coming from in the Zambian culture? And then with this kind of barrier, how do we see SMEs, going forward? And how do we see the growth of this sector if this issue is the one that keeps hovering around?
The growth is there, but of course, you've mentioned mindset. But again, this brings me back to corporate governance to say, I think before money is lent out to these SMEs, train them in corporate governance. Train them the importance of paying back. This is where you find that even foreigners, they find it a bit difficult to partner with Zambians. The foreigner is out there, the Zambian is here, and then he says, okay, I'm in China, I'll be sending you stuff. When you sell, you will send what belongs to me, you keep yours. But it's never like that. Okay? So, for us to make these guys accountable, we need to train them, and I think we need to give them strict conditions before they are given these loans. Now, and they should also know, the SMEs, to say, look, this is my passion. I need to grow this business. So, if I borrow this money, I need to pay back. That's why the commercial banks, they ask for collateral. And then they are the ones who will be the first one to complain, to say, no, we've got no access to finance, we've got no access to this. When you go to CEEC, they borrow from CEEC, and then it's abused. They don't pay back. The SMEs, if they can be responsible enough and then grow, trust me, they can change this economy. Because if we speak of China, China is SMEs. For me, I believe in private sector-driven economy. That is the only way this country will grow. I was reading the statistics in the UK. The government employs only 7%. The rest, they're private sector. And look at the economy. You know, and I did research again in so many countries. Those that, where the government employs less than 12%, the rest are private sector. Those economies are flourishing. And I've always said it, the government is not an employer. You know, the employers are the private sector. Who are the private sector? The SMEs. Just like what I've said, from 50 to 200, it's still an SME. So how many companies in this country employ more than 250? Okay, those are large companies. We can talk of the mines. We can talk of Trade Kings, the banks, Zanaco, all these are giants because they employ above 250. But the majority are below 250. Actually, mostly they're below 50. You employ 50, that's it. So if 2 million can employ 50 people, employment is created, the tax base is improved, ZRI will be smiling. Okay? So the growth of the economy is in the SMEs who need to be supported, whichever way you look at it.
100% agreed. But then we'll still have to, address the issue, the elephant in the room, which is the fact that they'll be supported, the banks will give money, CEEs will give money, but if you don't, have the culture of paying back. So do you think then, Mr. Mumba, that, business should be taught perhaps in schools, should it, in the curriculum, should it be included that from as young as, grade 1, they start teaching business? Because if the mindset can be worked on from that far back, maybe if it's inculcated in a person as they are growing, it could help, other than if somebody just feels like, oh, okay, the career issue, maybe there are no jobs, so let me just try and look to business, but then they have an opportunity to borrow maybe from CEC and they have the funding, and then the first thing they'll get excited because they don't have that culture of business in them, So do you think that education from a very young age could also maybe come in and help?
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's a very good question. Remember, when we were growing up, some of us who grew up in Kaunda, our parents used to tell us, work hard at school so that after you finish school, you become a teacher. Then when you work hard, my son, you'll be headmaster. They will they'll give you a house. And it ends there.
Exactly.
Okay? They never taught us to say, no. You can actually stand on your own. You can do business. You can thrive. That was never taught. But as we grow up, we started seeing that, my uncle was running a grocery shop and he's a breadwinner in the family. And yet my dad, is just a worker. And they've been saying, no, when I retire, when I get my retirement benefit, I'll go to the village and start farming. Okay, nothing wrong with that, but I think our minds was limited just to work. So, for me, that would be a game changer if business education can be started at an early age. As the kids are growing, they will know that I want to become a businessman. And for me to become a businessman, I will borrow money from bank A, B, C, D, and then I have to make profits and clear the loan. Okay? And I always tell SMEs that from every profit you make, 30% you have to reinvest. Even if you make 100 kwacha, 30 kwacha you plow back into the business. That's how the business grows. The business where you don't plow back, it never grows. So if you've got a loan, first thing is first. The money comes in, you pay the loan. Next, you pay ZRA. Okay? Then whatever remains, you plow back into the business. So if this can be started from as early as primary to secondary to university, I think we can change the direction of this country through business. Because in Nigeria, they say when when you're fired, you don't look for another job, you create employment. That's how they do it, our friends. But here when you're fired, I need to look for work, I need to look for work. Just like I said in my preamble, I had one of the well-paying jobs, and I resigned to start my business because I always wanted to do business, and here I am. So, and of course, I've borrowed, but I've paid back. So I always told my wife that even if I die today, trust me, no one will come and knock to say, your husband owes me money. Nothing. Yeah.
Great stuff. Well, to those that are just joining us on the National Economic Indaba Show, we have on the program Mr. Gabriel Hachipuka Mumba. And, to those that are joining us on social media, thank you so much for joining us. Now, Mr. Mumba, you've talked about financing options such as CEEC for, the MSMEs, but what other financial options are available, for these micro, small, medium enterprises in this country?
Well, it depends. Firstly, it depends which industry you are. Okay. And then it depends what category you are. Mm-hmm. What do I mean? Are you able to pay your loan with a certain interest? Mm-hmm. Okay? For instance, startups. Right now, there is what is known as CDF, where you can access up to 200,000. Okay. Yes, you can apply through the CDF through your counselor. You'll be able to be given a loan for 200,000. Now, if you need more than that, you go to CEEC. Now, again, if you need more than that, the banks, I know that there are some banks that have been funded by World Bank, by IFC, by EU, to loan that money to the SMEs. Now, that is not at the normal interest. It's a special interest, which is a bit lower, because this is not their money. The bank is just facilitating. So the owners of the money, whether it's IFC, whether it's EU, whether it's World Bank, I think before US aid was stopped, there was also money coming through US aid, from CEDA, Swedish, they'll tell them this money is to grow the SMEs. The interest that we think the SMEs can pay back, it's up to this much, not your commercial interest. So these are all the routes where the SMEs can get funding. And of course, we've got microfinancing. Yeah. But again, microfinancing, always the rates are quite high. So I would advocate for CEC and the banks that are facilitating the funds from all these institutions like EU, from IFC, from the World Bank. So there are so many ways that the SMEs can get loans. All they need is the information. And again, I always tell the SMEs to research, to read, check through. You find that there are opportunities where you can actually borrow money. There are opportunities where you can actually partner, where you can find an investor who can be able to pump money and say, look, I'm going to pump in money into your business. I'll get 50%. I'm going to pump in money. For me, this will be my cut. Okay? You'd say, I don't want to get shares, but if I pump in, say, $1 million, pay me back 1.2 after so many, because they see that your business has got the potential to grow. So all those are avenues of the SMEs accessing funds.
Great stuff. Now, let's talk about access to markets. How can SMEs access local and international markets, and what support systems can facilitate this?
Thank you so much. And again, the SMEs cannot be limited just to the local markets. So the government, through ZEA, they always facilitate what is known as networking platforms. Okay? Now, there are two categories of this networking. ZEA would arrange for a trip, let's say, to DRC. They say, okay, just for a small fee, you pay, and then the larger amount the government will subsidize. They take you to DRC. They create what's known as a trade fair there. Okay, that's where now these SMEs network. They find market, they find partnership. Apart from that, I've traveled on most of these trips with ZEA, where now they take you, maybe they take you to Europe, they take you to the US, where you go and meet potential partners, potential funders for your businesses. So ZEA facilitates those. Now, if you are an SME, you're an island, and you are limiting yourself to just being there, the probability of you growing your business is zero, because you cannot be an island. You need the market to sell your product, to network. So the SMEs, they can get all this information at ZEA. ZEA is open. You just go there. Actually, ZEA, when these investors come in, the first thing they do is they go to ZEA. So ZEA has got all the information. The investors, the funders, they leave their details there. So if I go to ZEA, I'm in twin transport, to say I'm looking for a partner, they have that information. I'm looking for market for my trucks. I need to be moving cargo from Zambia to Congo or South Africa. They've got all the information there. So the government has already established that avenue for the SMEs to access international market. Yeah.
Great stuff. So now, I'd like to know, what are the benefits of, partnerships, for instance, between MSMEs and larger corporations and, government agencies?
It's a two-way thing. The SMEs will benefit, and the larger corporation will benefit. Why am I saying this? In business, we ride on each other, okay? Large organizations, they need SMEs to actually move their cargo. Why am I saying this? The large organizations can outsource small organizations to sell out their products. Okay? If a small company, an SME, is dealing in a similar products, let's say it's a retailer, okay? The large organizations can come and say, look, I'm going to give you a lot of, I've seen that you're actually good at selling these products, okay? I'm going to give you on credit. I'm going to give you the credit so that you actually sell them, okay? So who's benefiting? Both of them are benefiting. The large corporate company is benefiting by actually selling more using SMEs. And the SMEs, they are getting exposed working with big organizations. So both of them, there is a benefit. For SME, it's the benefit of growth, it's the benefit of awareness, it's the benefit of notification. People will not say, okay, this small guy is working with this big guy. So there's that issue of trust. To say, I can trust this small SME because it's working with the trusted organizations. So we need each other. In our field, where I belong, we, as big organizations in the courier industry, we actually depend on these small guys to move small parcels, in where we can't reach. So we support them, okay? So they make more money through us who cannot reach these other places. Yeah.
Okay. Great stuff. Now, what role can digital platforms, and e-commerce play in expanding SME development in the nation?
Anyway, e-commerce is the in thing.
Yes, absolutely.
We've got artificial intelligence now, and then we've got e-commerce. Now, because of e-commerce, e-commerce actually has made most industries grow. Okay? Because e-commerce, I've just said, is the in thing. In the industry that we belong, that's why you've seen these bikes, SMEs mushrooming. Because you can do almost anything in the comfort of your home. You can order pizza, but someone has to deliver it. It goes back to the SME to pick it up and deliver it to wherever you are. Whatever I want to move, everything now is done online. And this actually has improved the way business is done, and it has expanded. So when people have discovered that there is the e-commerce is growing, they've also gone into that business. And this has made them to actually flourish. Now, artificial intelligence, technology, all these things are improving the way business is done. At the click of the button, your parcel is delivered, and it's picked. You will notice you receive a text message. Your parcel has been delivered. So, technology actually, we have to keep on improving in order for the business, for the SMEs to flourish. The technology, artificial intelligence has to be there. Yeah.
And the fear that it's taking over people's jobs.
It's the fear of the unknown.
The fear of the unknown, yeah.
Yeah, the fear of the unknown. I saw. What did I see? I saw something on social media where someone was, they were shooting a movie. The helicopter. This guy was holding a camera, But now they've got drones that go around. So someone says, "Oh, so that guy is no longer employed. He was holding a camera." Yeah.
Wow. So now let's talk about regulatory, frameworks. And so how can the regulatory environment be simplified to reduce barriers to entry and operation for MSMEs?
Oh, great. From the beginning, I did mention of SMEs being regulated. For as long as the SMEs are not regulated, they will never grow because they're just doing as they please. Now, when they are regulated, it means they will be controlled. It means they will be given rules that will make them grow. Okay? They will be monitored. In the field that I belong, the courier industry is regulated by ZICTA. ZICTA will just walk into your office, your premises, and notice they check is everything in order. If things are not in order, they've got the power to shut you down. Okay? Because they know that if you don't follow rule 1, 2, 3, you'll never grow. Okay? That also, it means they've put you under a database. They know you. And if they know you, you are following the rules of the game, then you'll be able to grow. Now, regulators are a must, but you'll find that most of these SMEs are not regulated, so meaning no one is monitoring them, no one cares. But if they're regulated, ZRA will know them. It means they'll pay tax to ZRA. It means even their transactions, again, we go back to technology, they will be going through the banking system, through the banks. Okay? Now, for me, I would advocate that the SMEs, they should be segmented. Those that are in this field, let the government find a regulator. Okay? These that are in this field, let the government find a regulator. I don't know, but I'm going to do a research to know if the government has got a database of all these SMEs. Because if they had a proper database, they can be able to control them, they can be able to monitor them, and they can make them grow. because they'll be encouraging the SMEs to give a good service to you and me, okay? But because they're not regulated, they're not accountable to anybody. They're just doing as they please. Those that are in the courier industry, they can lose your parcel. You can't take them anywhere. But if they're regulated, you report them to a regulator. So it means there are rules that they have to follow. They'll know that if I give a bad service, I'll be answerable to this. These will be my penalties. So the regulators play a very important role, and the SMEs, whatever sector, they have to be regulated. This goes back again to what I'd mentioned about forming an SME bank, because it will be easy for the government to make a recommendation. And it will be easy for the government to say, if an SME wants to get an expansion loan, the government, since they're regulated, then in the database, the government can guarantee the loan. To say, okay, we know you've been doing this business, and we've seen through your performance, we've seen through your accounts, we'll guarantee you, go ahead and get the loan. But without regulation,
But Mr. Mumba, where is the balance going to be struck? Because earlier you had mentioned that there is about 35,000, for instance, of this courier, bikes that are in, but only about 100, registered. And this is because you also mentioned that they just, for one bike, 10,000 kwacha, right? That is already, suffocating the small business person, there has to be a balance that has to be struck, because even I, as a business, if I brought in a bike and then I'm told that I have to pay 10,000 kwacha for local, or 15,000 kwacha, I would think twice, because already I'm just starting the business. I haven't even made money, but I'm required to pay ZRA, I'm required to pay this, I'm required to pay that. By the end of the day, even before my business takes off, it's already choked. So I would prefer not to even go, and register. I would prefer to, operate underground. So how can a balance be struck, so that there's a win-win situation for the MSME and also for, the regulatory authority?
Okay, I think first thing is first. It goes back to regulating the SMEs or database. So, if you want to set up a business, I think the first things, apart from PACRA, there should be a body that you go and register, okay? To say, I'm starting this organization, I'm starting this company. Now, then it goes to the license. Say, okay, now for this business that you want to do, the license is so much, okay? One thing that I've been advocating with the regulators, ZICTA, over these bikers, I told them, they said, look, from the 5,000, reduce to 2.5 for these guys. And from the 2.5, give them a payment plan, okay? Don't ask for the upfront payment, just like that. And by the way, apart from paying for these licenses, there is what is known as fees on annual returns, operating fees. So, if in a year you moved in 100,000 into your account, right? The government is asking you every year, give us 1% of that. So these are barriers, by the way. So when these guys look at all this, says, but where do I start from? So there is there's a license, there's an operating fee, there's ZRA, there is the council, there is PACRA. You lump all these together. You haven't even made a coin. So, for me, for a winning... Exactly. Then office rentals. So it has actually shot the amount of doing business. The cost of doing business is actually gone up. That's why you find that, by the way, these same people you see that they start this courier business, they fall out. Within a year, most of them, they fall out. These new ones, yes, it's actually not easy, because you have to look at the fuel costs, the wear and tear on the delivery vehicles. It's not easy. So, to strike a balance, the government should say, Yes, start SMEs, form small companies, come to us, we regulate you, we put you on the database. Now, the payment, let's go into a payment plan. What's your projection? How much do you think you'll be making in a month? No, in a month I'll be making 2 pin as a small business. 2 pin as in profits, net. Okay, from that 2 pin, you should be giving us 200 kwacha towards your license. Agreed, agreed. For me, that's a fair deal. Okay? So if you do that, it means you're encouraging the private sector to grow. Because as I've always said, for me, if I had a way, I would actually push for the private sector-driven economy. Because the private sector, these SMEs, well regulated, paying taxes, you'd be surprised how much ZRA could be making from these small SMEs. Because most of them don't pay. If you go to Garingaringa, those welders do not pay tax. Nobody cares. But the government, if they would sit down and say, okay, guys, you are making door frames. Okay, as a government, we are doing schools. We'll buy all the door frames, all the windows, here's the money. We take them into the schools. But I've never heard anything like that. Those guys, they are making those, they're struggling. Okay? But the government is just not thinking to say, all that you are making, we are making, under CDF, we are building schools in Changombo, we are buying them off you. So...
Yeah, great stuff. Now, you've been around the block in business for over 19 years now. Could you share some examples of other successful MSMEs? I will assume that you are a success because of the amount of time you have been in business. Could you also share other examples of other SMEs, that are in Zambia and the factors contributing to their success?
Great North Academy.
Oh, okay.
That's a success story.
Siatwambo.
That's a top-notch success story. He started from, by the way, he's a teacher. Yeah. He started by doing tuitions. Okay. From tuitions, look where he is. I'm told now he's even going into hospitality. So that's actually a success story that I can talk about. Then I can talk of Java. Okay. Sonja. Yes. That also is another success story. And I think these must have, they should be maybe above 250. Okay. So maybe they've moved from being SMEs. Okay, then you've got Mercury Couriers. Mercury Couriers started with only a couple. Okay. Yes, but now Mercury Couriers is all over. And plus or minus, I think they employ above 250. So those are success stories. So that's why I'm saying that these SMEs should not limit themselves. They should have a bigger picture to say, okay, I want to be there. Me, when I resigned from Zim and came here, I started from home in Kablonga. I thought my son, you're still young, I'm going to use the bedroom as an office. I only had a laptop. Now I've got how many people? 35 people which I'm employed countrywide. If I add agents, I'm hitting 60. Wow. Yes, just from me, my accountant, then who's to make sure, Yeah. So why is because I was disciplined. I was interviewed by Forbes magazine Africa, where they were asking me, but what's your story? Says number one, discipline. I never got excited with payment. Never got excited. I started traveling with my family, I think, 15 years later. Wow. So now I would take my family to the US, would go to Australia, because I know that, this is it. But before that, it was just, And as a CEO, I was on the ground. I would actually deliver letters myself. But Zambian CEOs, before you start as an SME, no, you're just in the office. The next thing, no, Chicago's. Those are the things that I feel suffocated when I see these things, Yeah.
Great stuff. Now, what are the best practices that can be learned from, the examples that you've given, Java, Great North Academy yourself, and how can these be replicated by the up-and-coming MSMEs?
Just like what I said in the beginning, for you, when you're starting a business, the first thing that you have before you have capital It's the vision. So if you have a vision, you don't get excited with money that is coming through your hands. Don't get excited with the loan. Don't get excited with a grant. Yes, a grant you're not paying back, but the owners of the money will be monitoring you. What have you bought from this money that we've sent you? No, I've bought these nails, I've bought this. Okay, they'll be ticking. So don't get excited with such. Then plow 30% of your profit into the business. I always insist to say 30%, whether you've made 1 million, 30% has to go back to the business. Even if you don't have immediate plans for that, let it stay there. Something else will come up to invest to grow the business. Then number 3, these people that you see flourishing, trade kings, they started from somewhere, but someone made a sacrifice when they were starting. You sacrifice your time, you sacrifice your finances. It's the beginning as an SME, actually. What it is you are in the stage of sacrifice. You're just sacrificing this, sacrifice your time. Your friends want to go and watch football, say, I'm working. And people get surprised when they discover that I'm not a soccer fan. I don't drink beer. I said, so what do you do? I don't even know who's Arsenal. I don't know who is Liverpool is. Because I think they, like my family say, I'm a workaholic because I love to work. Because I want to produce results. I want to see this. So this is what should be done as an SME. Don't feel that you have arrived before you have arrived. Stage micro is a stage of sacrifice. Whatever comes in, you plan, no matter how small. You plan, even if it's a 2 kwacha, you plan, look, how are we going to use this? Where are we going to place this money for us just to shoot up? So that is the growth of most of these companies that we've seen. They never got excited with payments. I know that the government, they pay 25%. Upon giving you a contract, they pay 25% for you to execute. But the SMEs, that money, they get excited. So it's all about not being excited about anything that comes in. Yeah.
Great stuff. As we, wind down the program, I would just like to know, what your thought is on the importance of having a domesticated economy, as opposed to have one which is, being run, by foreign entities, because we have a lot of, foreign entities running businesses in this country. What is your feeling about having a more domesticated economy, and what would the benefit be?
The benefits are huge. For me, I've always said, let's partner with these foreigners. Okay? It's only us that will develop this country. Okay? Let us not be used by foreigners to thinking I can only grow if that foreigner comes in. The government has to first support the locals. The foreigner should come as a partner, not even a majority, a minority. If we are the two of us, I would tell the foreigner to say, you are 49, I'm 51%. Take it or you leave it. Because I'm the man on the ground. Or you've brought in, maybe brought in machinery, you've brought in. For you to have come all the way where you are to here, you've seen something. So obviously, we need each other here. So the local-driven economy is the one that I would advocate for. The outsiders should just come as partners, not wholly owned, and then you start working for them. For me, I've got international partners. There's one organization that wanted to buy us off. I refused. They offered money that if I tell you, you'll fall off your chair. But I said, no, I can't. I'm a local guy here. You buy me, I start working for you. I said, yes. I said, no. It doesn't work like that. But this is the weakness that most Zambians, the moment I won't mention that this comes in, a foreigner comes in, I've got this money, can I buy you off? Yeah, sure, get. You've heard of selling license mines, all those things. But a local run economy where it is supplemented by international business companies as partners, it's okay.
Great stuff. Well, we have come to the end of the program, and we are so grateful that you took time off your busy schedule, to just come and have this, I think, very important discussion with us.
Thank you so much. For business chat, I'm always available.
Absolutely.
Yeah, whenever you feel like inviting me, there's a topic that needs to be invited, please, I'm always available. My passion is private sector. Yeah.
There you have it, our esteemed viewers, on the National Economic Indaba show this evening. We featured Mr. Gabriel Hachipukamumba, who is Vice President for the European Union Zambia Business Club, as well as the CEO for Eastlight Zambia Limited. And until next time, when we bring to you yet another exciting guest on the program, my name is Nakiwe Simpungwe, saying good evening.
It's in the beat, that quiet rhythm under it all, the pulse of a nation. From the founding words etched on paper, to the voices on the airwaves, from the marches in the streets, to the silence before a decision is made. This is where we listen. This is where we feel. This is where we understand. This is National Pulse, not just the news, the signal, the heartbeat of the nation.
Imagine having access to the latest news at your fingertips. Introducing the newly rebranded and improved Daily Nation website. With our innovative online flipping page feature, you can read the newspaper just like you would in print. Plus, with our subscription-based model, you will get access to exclusive content, archives, and more. So why wait? Sign up now and experience the future of news. Daily Nation, now at your fingertips.